Um, Chair yoga is a fantastic class, and I do love it. I think a lot of times there's a misconception because we're using a chair that it's not going to be a challenging class. And the chair is a prop, just like a block, a bolster, a strap, any of the other things that we might use in a yoga class, but without the weight bearing into the wrists and the shoulders, and it allows for stability for the standing posture. So I feel like oftentimes we're able to get deeper into a posture using the chair without compromising the integrity of the posture. So chair yoga is just, it's fun, and it's just a different way to explore the postures. What you can expect from a chair yoga class, it's not all done in the chair, which sometimes people think, but the chair is there just so that we don't have to get up and down off the ground. So many of the postures can be accessible that we do in a seated practice just into the chair. So about 50% of the class is going to be done in the chair, and there's still very challenging postures that we're doing, to your skill level. And then the other part is standing with the chair used for balance and stability, and to also make the postures where you can gain the depth without having to try to get closer to the floor. The only prop you really need in chair yoga class is a chair. That being said, there are differences in chairs. Bar stool, the really high back, probably not going to work. Office chair with wheels, probably not going to work. So I use usually just like a metal folding chair. It seems to be about the right height. It doesn't have arms on it. It's really just easy. So really you want just a simple, basic chair, no wheels, no arms, and positive attitude. Chair yoga is really kind of the brainchild of Heather and I working together. We noticed that as we were beginning our teaching careers together at our studio, there was a lot of people that just getting up and down off the ground was a deal breaker. And we had a lot of people that we really wanted to gain the benefits from yoga who were unable to do that. So by introducing a chair, it allows people to do all the seated postures elevated, and it's easy enough to get out of a chair in most cases. It opens up a world of possibilities. And then once we really got into it, we found that the chair isn't just a way to elevate people from the ground, but it's also a really interesting prop that allows you to gain a lot of depth into the different postures without compromising the integrity of them. Chair yoga is seriously good for everybody. I've had about every walk of life come into my chair class. I've had a young lady who was running track who'd torn her meniscus, and so for her, the long weight-bearing classes into the legs just wasn't good. I had a football player who had wrecked his knees. He was an older gentleman who was in great physical shape, but getting up and down off the ground just wasn't in the cards for him. So pregnancy, it's a really great class if you're expecting, and something you can practice through all the trimesters. And also people that just want to take time to help refine the postures, because if we're not concerned about going so deep into them and using that chair as a prop, it's a whole different way to explore the posture. So I think it's a nice complement to even some of the more vigorous styles of yoga. Cautions, warnings, contraindications that are going to come along with a chair class. It really, I guess it is that it's going to be easy. People assume because it is a chair yoga class that it's not going to challenge them. And again, you can take chair yoga to 5% or 100%. It really depends upon how you're feeling. So like any class, stepping into it, you just want to make sure that, sometimes the postures can be deceptively deep, because we are doing them from a seated position. So you just want to make sure, that you are physically able, if you're recovering from an injury, making sure that we're not contradicting any information from doctors. If you're expecting, we want to make sure that, you've consulted your physician, that you are, medically able to do these things. So more than anything, just making sure that you're in shape and understanding that just because it's in a chair doesn't mean it's not going to be challenging, but it is much easier to scale how deep you're going to take the practice. Who and why would you hate chair yoga? Haters gonna hate. But chair yoga sometimes catches people a little off guard. Largely it's been people who know me as a vinyasa teacher who've stepped into my chair class, and they're expecting something of a bit quicker of a pace. But what's nice about the chair class is that we can really, with the chair for a proper in the seated position, it allows us so much leeway either way as to how far we take it. So realizing that the chair allows us to explore postures and gain depth that you may not be able to do otherwise. And really, it's a great transition point from maybe some of the softer styles. If we've been doing like Yin or Restore, and you're wanting to move into like a Hatha or Vinyasa class, it's that kind of great in-between point where people can learn the postures, use the chair for stability, for safety, without all the weight bearing that comes into some of those classes. And then as you've developed that, moving forward to maybe some of the more challenging styles of yoga that we offer.